Hello web wizards and CSS enthusiasts. Welcome to my channel. I'm Stanton, your guide on this fantastic journey into the heart of web development. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an episode of code-filled goodness. Today we're diving into an incredibly essential topic that is sure to level up your web development game. We're going to craft a robust, responsive website boilerplate from scratch utilizing the magic of CSS Flex. If you've been finding yourself lost in the world of responsive web design or are looking to improve your efficiency with a reusable template, this video is tailor-made for you. By the end of this tutorial, you'll have a powerful, reusable website boilerplate under your belt, ready to adapt flawlessly to any screen size. Whether it's a mammoth 4K monitor or the compact screen of a mobile device, your website will shine brilliantly. So tighten your seatbelts and get your coding fingers warmed up as we embark on this exciting journey into the realm of responsive web design with CSS Flex. Let's get started. All right, we're going to start off in VS Code, our code editor. If you're new to VS Code, first need to make a new folder. We're going to call it our first project, or whatever you want to call it. And then you can just drag your folder right into your code editor, just like that. All right, now we're going to need two files to get started. We're going to need an index.html, and then we're going to need a style.css for our style sheet. Great. All right, let's get started with our HTML. First, we're going to need a doc type, of course. Then we're going to need our HTML tags. This will hold everything. This will hold our entire website. Then we're going to need a head. This is going to hold all of our metadata. And it's usually at this point, yeah, we're just going to drop in some boilerplate code. Feel free to pause the video and get that written in. Then we're going to need a title. I'll call it First Project. All right, let's move on. Now we're going to need the body tags. This is going to hold everything that's visible on the website. We'll just do Hello World, just so that we can have something to look at. And we're going to click our little Go Live, our little test server, or you can just double click on the file itself, the index.html file, and that's going to show us what our website looks like. All right. Hello World's working. Now let's start getting this thing laid out. We're going to begin. We're going to need, I don't ever like to do any styling on the body tag itself, so we're going to make just a regular old div container, I think, and it's just going to be our wrapper, and we're going to give it a class of parent. And this is going to really hold everything, and that'll help us with our layout, having kind of a wrapper around everything. Okay, next we're going to do our nav bar. You know what? We ought to probably, instead of doing classes, we probably ought to, we'll come back to it. You know what? No, let's just do, never mind. We're going to do, we'll keep the class in nav for now, but we're also going to put this in nav tags as well. HTML tags. Just so, for those of us that are new, if you have too many divs, it can start to get a little confusing. These more specific HTML tags are really what we should be using, even though I find myself most certainly falling into the div rabbit hole or whatever. Okay, so there's our nav. That's going to hold our nav bar. Next, we're going to need a main. This is going to be our main content. So, shocking. And then lastly, we're probably going to want a footer. And we'll call it footer. Perfect. And then we're going to want to put some placeholders in here just so that we can have something to look at. Put my little name here in the footer, Stanton Salisbury. Always good to have some branding on your projects, right? And then for our nav bar, we're probably going to want a home page, right? So we'll probably do some A tags here. And we'll just kind of put some placeholder, some placeholder hrefs links in here as well. We'll do a home, we'll do an about. And then lastly, we'll do a contact. pretty typical of what you would see on websites, right? A home and about and a contact page. Pretty basic. Nothing too special. And here we go. We give that a save. We take a look. All right. We've got our nav bar and we've got our footer, but we don't have anything in our main. So we got to put something in here. And we'll just put the hello world back in. Why not? Let's tell the world hello. Perfect. Okay. Now that we've got our basic HTML structure filled out here, now we can start thinking about styling. And this is where the fun really begins. Now let me get my windows figured out here. That way we can do a little side by side so that you can see these changes in real time as we make them. Typically where my OCD kicks in and I gotta have my screens perfectly aligned. There we go. Okay, great. Let's pop on over to our style sheet. I think the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to write some kind of reset things here, because typically you get a lot of like weird things out of the box with some stuff. So you just want to kind of clear any CSS that may be sticking around. So we'll do a box sizing border box. We'll do a margin of 0, and this should just kind of reset everything for us. We also want to, why not? We'll throw a font size in here just so we don't have to look at gross serifed fonts. Do a nice little mono space. Oh yeah, we have our Google fonts. We'll do a Roboto mono, the greatest of all monos. And we're probably going to want to have mono space in there. It's just a fallback, just in case. What else do we want? Let's see. We'll do a text decoration. Yeah, we need to get rid of the weird decoration on our links. That'll get rid of the underline for us. And we also are going to want to change the color as well. So we'll just go in and we'll say color of, we'll just put a color of black on everything for now. And we can change this later. Right now we're just trying to get started, just getting a good starting point, right? There we go. Links are working, everything's looking great. Okay, now we need to start thinking about layout, right? How do we want this thing to look? And this is really where a lot of people struggled for many years. I know I sure did. This used to be so much more difficult. But now we have great things like Flexbox to really help us here. So we'll start with our parent container. This is our wrapper, remember? This is what's going to really give us like the bones of our website. So we'll start with a display of Flex, the magic that is Flexbox. Perfect. You can see we're starting to get some changes. We're going to put a Flex direction of, let's see, if we do column, that's going to kind of, yep, I always get column and row confused. So we're going to want to do column for the parent container. This will kind of get everything nicely lined up. We'll put it in the center, justify content. We'll want to do space between on this so that everything kind of stretches out. But until we put a height on here, you're not going to see anything. We do want to align everything to the center. Perfect. Now let's whack a height on here so that we can actually see everything working. We'll do 100 VH or vertical height. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Fantastic. We'll put a width on here for 100 vertical width just so that everything fills our screen nice and tidy. Beautiful. Okay, now let's focus on our nav bar. We'll just keep moving down the list here. We need to get our nav bar kind of fixed up here. So once again, we're going to do a display of Flex, but this time we're going to do it a little different. We're not going to do column, we're going to do Flex direction of row this time. And this works kind of just the opposite. So we'll do justify, but this time we're also going to want to do space evenly. And we will align them to the center as well. And if we, make sure we give it a gap here. Do a gap of 1 EM just to give us some space between them. And we'll give us a width of, I think, 80%. That'll look nice. Yes, there we go. Perfect. throw a margin on the top just to give us a little breathing room. 1 EM always looks very nice. There we go. Okay. Now I think we need to focus on our main container. We're going to do a background color of yellow-green just so we can see it. We're also going to want to do a flex grow of 1 on this, and you'll see why. There we go. That'll fill up the space between our nav bar and our footer. And then we'll do a margin of 1 EM on this as well. Fantastic. And this should match perfectly with our nav bar. We'll hop down here. We're going to do a main, footer, and on both of these, because we want them to be the same width as our nav bar, which was 80%, we're also going to do a display of flex, and justify, nope, excuse me, we'll do a flex direction of column. We will justify the content to be center, and we will, of course, line the items to the center. And then, what are we missing? Our width. We'll do a width of 80%. There we go. Perfect. Now that'll match perfectly with our nav bar. Eighty percent, fantastic. Now we can get rid of this nasty yellow-green. Oh, if we just add the yellow-green up top, you can see they're the same width up there. Now we can get rid of them. Fantastic. Gross yellow-greens. We'll add some nice borders in here in a second so that we can actually see our flex boxes as we're making them. That way we know exactly what we're doing. Just do a 1 pixel solid black border. And that way we can see what's going on without needing to look at gross yellow-green backgrounds, right? Good deal. This is looking great. We just need a little bit of padding here, so we'll do a padding of 1 EM on the footer. Perfect. What else? Let's see. We'll do a footer and we'll do a margin. You don't need anything on the footer here. We'll just do a margin bottom of 1 EM on this, I think, just to give us, just like we did with the nav at the top, how we did 1 EM for our margin top. We'll do a margin bottom here, just so that everything's nice and even. We have a nice same spacing all the way around. This is looking great. I think all we really need now is just a little bit of padding in our nav, and I think we will be off to the races here. You see we have our class of nav here. Instead, we're going to get rid of that, and we'll just kind of clean this up here. Instead of using a class, we'll just use the nav tag on this. There we go. Now everything's nice and uniform. That was bugging me. We'll give ourselves some padding of 1M on here. There we go. How's that? Isn't that great? Doesn't that look good? And of course, because we're using Flexbox, this will all be nice and responsive. It won't matter what screen size you're on. This will look absolutely fantastic. I think let's go ahead and let's just change this font color here a little bit. I'm just going to soften it up. Now that we're at the point, now that everything looks good and our layout's all correct, now we can start really thinking about styling. This is where we start thinking about the aesthetics of our website. So we'll just soften the color up a little bit. We'll throw some gradients in here. Feel free to pause the video. These are gradients that I just generate and have at my disposal at all times. So feel free to pause the video if you want to copy my gradient line for line, or if you want to make your own gradient as well. Just using some nice soft tones of white in the background. We don't want to get too crazy. We don't want to distract our users with too crazy of gradients. Just nice soft colors. Let's change our borders. We can actually get rid of our borders here because we're actually going to create a custom class that I think you guys are really going to like. It's become one of my personal favorites, and it'll actually have a border built in with it. So we don't actually need these black borders right now. We just kind of had them here so that we could see what we were doing. And I think you'll be amazed by what, by just creating this one class, what you're going to achieve here. So we'll do a new class, and we're going to call it glass. There we go. Just whack that in. Perfect. And you're not going to see anything yet because we haven't assigned this class to any of our tags yet. So we'll go up here to our nav container, and we'll give it a class of glass. And we can just copy this, and we'll just paste it on our other main sections here. So we'll do one on main, and then we'll do one on footer. And this is going to give us just a really nice look. This is called glass morphism. It became really popular a few years ago, but I'm usually late to the party, and I've just fallen in love with it all over again. So I hope you guys will too. And I think that's it. I think that's it. Nope, not yet. Not yet. We still need to do a few more things, right? We've got a boring hello world in there, but what if we did something? Let's do something more than hello world. Let's put a button in there. Everybody loves a button. Who doesn't love a good button? So let's go down here to our main container, and we'll just get rid of hello world, and we'll put in a shiny new button. And you know what? This button's going to be awesome. So let's go ahead and we'll give it a class. We're going to call this the awesome button, because this button is going to be awesome. It might even be the greatest button. What are we going to do? We're going to connect, I think, because who doesn't want to push a button to connect to something? Fantastic. Okay. There's our button. Looks terrible. Let's fix that. But it works, right? Button's working. Click, click. We've got our awesome button, so we'll pop on over to our style sheet, and we're going to make a new class, and it's going to be our awesome button class. And in our awesome button class, what are we going to do? We're going to go ahead and grab this button from over here, and we're just going to whack this button right into our little style sheet here. Fantastic. You can see this button's going to have some transitions, some animations, box shadows, all sorts of crazy stuff on here. Probably a little too complex for this video, so like I said, feel free to pause and copy this. And there's our new button. If we give it a save, there we go. Doesn't have any cool functionalities yet, but you can see it does look rather nice. Nice pill shape, got a nice drop shadow on it. Perfect. Now, as with any buttons, we've got some states that we can work with. We've got a hover state, and we've got an action state. Hover state, pretty self-explanatory. Whenever you hover over it, active is whenever you click on the button. So there we go. We've got our hover state and our active state. And now, if we save it, we should have a little bit of interactivity with our little website here. You can see as we click on it, the shadow moves with the button. And it's just a really nice button. I would encourage you all to use this button on your projects. And I think that's it. What else do we need? Oh, just to kind of top it off here, we'll throw in a little animation. So we'll use some keyframes, why not? And we're just going to throw a little subtle animation into our gradient. This is what the background gradient is what this animation will affect. And it's just a nice subtle little animation just to give our button a little bit of life. You can see if we change the colors here to like a red and maybe a blue, you'll really see what this animation does as it animates back and forth. It's just moving the position of the gradient back and forth is all it's doing. But it just provides a little bit of movement, gives your web page just a little bit of life, makes it just a little more interesting. So we'll go back to our nice subtle tones, and you can see it just subtly changes tone. Not too distracting. And I think the last thing we're going to want to add in here to stick a fork in our little project is we'll probably whack in a little media query just so that we know everything's going to look good on mobile devices and on desktop as well. We'll set the width to a max width of 50%, I think, on here. Or we'll just do a width, why not? And why isn't that changing? Uh-oh. What'd we break? What'd we do wrong? Nope. Add our bracket in. Did that fix it? Maybe. Nope. What'd we do? Oh, no. Oh, yep, there we go. That's what we need. These classes. I should have just done all HTML tags from the very beginning. This is why you should always plan your projects before you jump into recording a video, my friends. These are the lessons we learn. Okay, now we're working. You can see once we get to a certain size, we're not going to grow any larger. We're going to stay right at that 50%, just so that we're not filling the entire screen and being obnoxious. And if we change it to 20%, you can see that once we grow, it just kind of shrinks down that way, and it won't get any bigger. This just ensures that we look good across all mobile devices, all screen sizes. So we'll set that back to 50%. And with that, I believe that's a wrap. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Leave me a comment if there's anything that you'd like to cover or any questions that you may have. And hit that like button, of course. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.